Alright guys, welcome back to Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Today we are, I don't know, we are months away from the last posting of anything on my channel, and I am trying to get back and record over these things as we get attacked by super soldiers here. Timestamp, this is May 2nd. And that means that yes, Infinity War came out last week, and no, I haven't seen it yet. I'd really doubt that, you know, given the frequency of people posting on the channels anyway, that y'all are gonna spoil it for me because just because of the traffic levels. But one of the things that has happened over the last couple months, and one of the reasons that I've been less interested in uploading things, is that every time I turn around, YouTube changes their requirements for monetization. Before, it was just that a channel needed to have like 10,000 views. Actually, that was before. It was like nothing. They would just do some sort of there was a time when I don't think that there was any particular requirement other than, you know, certain things couldn't happen in the video. Then they moved to a channel had to have 10,000 views as a requirement for making any of this happen, and that was fine as far as I was concerned. I mean, I understood the logic behind that, but you know, but it took me forever to get to 10,000 views, and I get that. You know, we're talking about format that's not necessarily so flashy, and so, and my video editing skills are fairly basic in what I'm able to do, and I also don't. You know, I also don't have the ability to play off of anybody. I mean, some people are really good at being able to do the one-man sort of approach to these things, but it always seems like that, you know, the partner thing is better. You know, it allows you to play off of people, and none of what I do is scripted in any way. So, you know, I didn't, you know, if there's something that I talk about, it's not that I planned to talk about it, it's just that I was sort of looking for things to do here, and you see that. So, for instance, our characters right now, everybody's got their ultimate attack ready to go, so that extra ultimate attack, that filler that we've got down there, we can't use. And just in case you're new into the series here at episode 53 or whatever, and I think there's a good chance. I'm sorry, we're still in the 40s, but just in case you're new, this is the first run that I ever did with Marvel Ultimate Alliance. So the difficulty level's set on easy, and I stay as pretty much the same 4 characters the whole way through. Those 4 characters being Spider-Man, Venom, Miss Marvel, and Captain America. And right now we are in the Asgard level of the game, and we're in the part of the game, we've liberated Heimdall. Unfortunately not Idris Elba Heimdall. And now we're trying to free Tyr, the Asgardian god of war. And once we've got those 2 guys free, we can then go in and rescue Baldur. And finally liberate Asgard from, or get closer to liberating Asgard from Loki's control. You know, so that's where we are story-wise in this game. you know, things that have changed since I started the playthrough and started recording various episodes in this playthrough, even though the method really hasn't changed at all. I've started watching that have to deal with comic book characters, because I really have a huge to the comics. I think I've made that clear in Lego Marvel Superheroes and the Lego Marvel's Avengers series. You know, I would keep characters I was unaware of, doing things wasn't really sure of. Yeah, particularly if the characters didn't have an MCU counterpart. So we are now going into a boss. Well, okay, well, looks like we just beat the wolf up. And we had a little bit of dislocation there. But we have this bridge here, and we need to get by it. And the inscription that we ran into back in the past actually told us how to do this. We need to place the Hand of Tyr. And you'll notice that the jaw of the wolf opened further on now. And, you know, there's evidently enemies upstairs. Well, either that or the guy's just really hyper-aggressive. I'm thinking that there's got to be something up there. And we're running into super soldiers because part of Doom's plan was just to create a bunch of crazy thugs to take out the Asgardians. You know, just sort of all at once, and open the way to where Doom could face Odin. And Doom had the Twilight Soldier, or the Twilight Sword with him. Because I actually found out where the Twilight Sword came from. So it's with Mephisto in this game. That's not the Twilight Sword. Got it. And unfortunately, I've been watching, you know, some things on the Comic Pop channel, sort of go back over comic stories that I never really was familiar with that much. I was introduced to them through their take on Maximum Carnage. And since, you know, again, Maximum Carnage is like one of the few comic book series I've actually read any part of. But so I've been going back and rereading over things. Or not rereading, sorry. I've been going back and watching their episodes on various stories, particularly from the time around when this game came out. Because, you know, the Civil War arc was a thing during this time. You know, I saw their thing on the Marvel Knights issue of Spider-Man where Mac Gargan became Venom. And there's somebody dangling there.
Tyr, that's no way to straighten your spine.
This must be our lucky day. We get to play with the spider.
Well, if it isn't two of my favorite psychos, Scorpion and Lizard. How are you kids doing?
Always the comedian, aren't you, Webhead?
Now, is that any way to talk to someone who brought you a nice new lily pad to sit on?
He's a lizard, you moron, not a frog.
Oh, well, how about you, Scorpion? You need a lily pad?
Hey, Scorpion. Seeing the web slinger reminds me of how much I love to pull the legs off of spiders.
Me, I just like to stomp them and watch
So
'em
we're able
twitch.
to.
Are you guys making veiled threats?
So
I
in order
can't
to
tell,
free
but
Tyr,
I
we're
really
going to have
think I
to
should be in
defeat
the loop on this.
That's it. I've heard
the Scorpion.
enough.
This is the second time that we've
Let's
seen
shut him up,
Scorpion.
Scorpion.
He's in his Ultra form. And the Lizard. It's the first time we've seen the Lizard in this game.
You're
So yeah,
wasting my
the reference to Mac Gargan wasn't completely lost, because there he is. The default Venom costume in this game is the Eddie Brock costume, and lo and behold, I found out that in order probably to set up the Venom movie and the continuity that whatever continuity the Venom movie exists in, Eddie Brock has rejoined the Venom symbiote in the comics, or at least he had as of the time of this recording. It could very easily have been that that's been changed or whatever. But you've got so we got Eddie Brock Venom on our team, but there is one of Venom's other costumes in this game is the Mac Gargan Venom costume. So I guess in theory we could have created a paradox by having Gargan on our team.
Destroy the human.
In the sequel to this game, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, the default Venom is Mac Gargan, but the alternate costume is Eddie Brock. Of course, he'll still have all of Mac Gargan's lines, so you won't really get a Eddie experience dialogue-wise. At this point, we've cleared out the two sub-bosses. Now we're trying to find a way to cool off the lava so we can lower Tyr to the ground without killing him. Because yeah, you can kill him. No, it's not a good idea. So, as of this recording, I have not watched all that much related to Infinity War. I've tried to stay away from trailers. I'm vaguely aware of certain details that are kind of hard to miss. Like, there's a new Spider-Man game coming out for PS4 this September. It seems to be a game sort of in the same vein as the Beanox and Treyarch games of the last decade, but supposedly they're going to get things right on this one, versus the various shortcomings of those other games. Got some switches to play with here, and courtesy of that, and courtesy of sort of the reveal in Spider-Man Homecoming, which I have seen at this point. The Iron Spider suit, this incarnation of it, which is a lot more Spider-Man friendly and a lot less Iron Man looking. And the Iron Spider suit as a costume, oh good, or being attacked through the door by the troll. That's real fair. So I'm just going to beat him up from the other side of the door, because that's a thing I can do. So I knew about the Iron Spider armor, and I was... but otherwise I've tried to avoid trailers and spoilers and anything like that. Yeah, see, that was where the game tells you that, yeah, you really don't want to do that.
Right.
So I was aware that you know, Tom Holland's Spider-Man was going to get the Iron Spider armor. You know, and everybody knew this was going to be the big team up of just about everybody you've seen in all of these movies. To go against Thanos, played by Josh Brolin, and I would love to know. I would love to know if Josh Brolin sets any records for like films gross for a single actor in a single year kind of thing, because he's not only at the head, or you know, he's not only Thanos, but he's also in the Deadpool movie. He's Cable, which means, you know, if Deadpool makes the $500 million or whatever it made, maybe more than that, and Avengers: Infinity War, you know, becomes the highest-grossing movie of all time, like they think it might. I would love to see how much money Josh Brolin would indirectly be responsible for, even though it's two different, you know, it's two different studios. The Deadpool movie was completed before the Fox, or Marvel, not Marvel, but Disney bought the Fox content and merged the two companies and that kind of thing. So, you know, it's still not, it's not an MCU movie, but I think they're, you know, Marvel Studios would be kind of silly not to sort of find a way to work Deadpool into the formula at some point, now that they have access to his character again. And just like that, they're going to find a way to bring the X-Men and the Fantastic Four in. They're going to, they will do that. They've left Phase 4 pretty open-ended. I mean, there's some movies that need sequels. I mean, clearly we're getting a Black Panther sequel. Clearly we're getting a Doctor Strange sequel that are specifically related to those characters. But hold on. So anyway, sorry about that. Got interrupted by a cell phone call from people telling me that they'd like to handle my student loans. The student loans that I don't have and never did have. So that's exciting. Alright, now we're messing around down here at the forge. And we have basically a puzzle game, more or less, to get this thing heated up. And then we can make something out of it. And if you're wondering why I've been Miss Marvel the entire episode, again, I'm trying to unlock the costumes for at least these 4 characters. Okay. Yeah, let's take the blacksmithing hammer.
Thou hast struck the great anvil and proven thyself worthy
There we go.
of the favor of the gods. Take this and fare thee well.
It's nice that Odin can talk to us. And so we picked up the Asgard armor, and that's an item that we can equip. It's got some bonuses for defense and that kind of thing. I don't really remember if I actually equip it to anybody. If I do... Actually, it might have something related to lightning powers, so I might have given it to Storm, just for the sake of not giving it to Thor.
Destroy the human.
That's gonna leave a bruise.
Okay, evidently we performed a random combo move between Spider-Man and Captain well, yep, there's a slip. Captain Marvel. It is Carol Danvers who is going to be Captain Marvel in the movies. But at this point in the comics, she's still just Miss Marvel, with the Captain Marvel title being held by Captain Mar-Vell, a Kree warrior who likes to help humans. I think he's going to be played by Jared Leto in the Captain Marvel movie. Yeah, another thing that they've announced for the Captain Marvel movie, and we're talking about a movie that's coming out in 2019, is that it's going to involve a lot of the people you've seen in the past that you thought were dead. Well, because they are dead, but because they've placed the events of Captain Marvel back in the 90s. Those people haven't been killed yet. So, I guess, spoilers, Ronan the Accuser is going to survive the Captain Marvel movie. Jaimin Hansu's character from Guardians, who is another Kree warrior, from what I understand, also be making a return. We're going to get Phil Coulson. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Coulson, mainly because whether they'll make any attempt to de-age Clark Gregg at all, because they are bringing back Clark Gregg. And of course, they're going to bring back Samuel L. Jackson, and are they going to make any attempt to de-age him with CGI in this movie? Is he even going to be the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. When the movie starts?
You have won this time.
Are we going to see Robert Redford briefly, since he's the one who asked Nick to take over S.H.I.E.L.D., at least according to Captain America: The Winter Soldier. So there's a whole bunch of interesting questions that we could get we could get some answers to by placing the movie in the past, and it really wasn't something I was a big fan of, just because where all the other Marvel movies had sort of taken place in the same kind of time, with the exception of Guardians of the Galaxy, where everything happens in 2014, obviously except Infinity War, which does give them a weird time gap. Assuming that Infinity War takes place in the year 2018, we'll have to explain what the Guardians have been doing for 4 years.
Attack them.
Whereas the lead-in for everybody else would be pretty simple, because everybody else had movies that took place in 2017, like Spider-Man: Homecoming and Black Panther. And so outside of Deadpool 2 and Infinity War, there's another movie, and it's a movie that I would probably be more likely to see than Deadpool 2, but less likely to see than Infinity War. And it's a movie I've kind of been on the fence about, and that's the Venom movie. And they're going to introduce Venom. They're going to do it without Spider-Man, which
Nice try, tough guy.
might have interesting. I don't think they're going to keep Venom and Spider-Man apart for long, but it might have interesting effects on, on what happens to the Venom symbiote in this universe as Venom starts frying on all that lava.
Attack them!
That's gonna leave a bruise.
In that, the symbiote's going to be it looks like the symbiote's going to be created kind of like the Ultimate Spider-Man symbiote was from the Ultimate Spider-Man comic books in the lab. Not an Oscorp lab, it should be noted, so not like the cartoon Ultimate Spider-Man. But it looks like the symbiote's first host is going to be Eddie Brock. And so it kind of sets this weird thing up for later, because you know that at some point the symbiote's going to be on Spider-Man. You're going to have this weird thing where it was on Brock first, and then on Spider-Man, and then some way probably going to come back to Brock. And there are ways to make that sort of work, particularly since we're staying away from the Secret Wars origins of the comics. But with that being said, and us still running around and not having freed Tyr,